So, CC's done. Say goodbye to Viviana and Tola. Have you gotten your R18 shiny badge yet? No? Who cares? Getting ahead is coming soon. They've announced it and it's coming on the 16th. And that means we're gonna get...
破壊行為は嫌いなんだけど必要ならためらわない成功と失敗にまぐれなんてない
So, Suffering, or God's Chosen Overseer, or Burning Messenger even. Nah, it's Fiammetta. She's a 6-star sniper artilleryman, which means she deals range AoE physical damage. Here are her base stats at E290. If you compare her to the other 6-star in the same branch, W, she has a relatively lower attack stat, with W having 1012 and Fia having 961. But her talents beef up her attack. Her first talent, called Suffering, Fiammetta loses 0.5% of her current HP every 0.1 seconds, but this effect will not kill her. This also has a second effect. While her HP is higher than 50%, she gains a plus 25% attack vigor buff, and when her HP is higher than 80%, this effect will be doubled. These are her attack stats after receiving those buffs. This talent is certainly interesting. She gains a significant attack buff while also having a significant debuff. This limits the use of her since deploying her without a healer will cut her overall damage output significantly and also put her at a high risk of being killed. But still, if you're just using her as another ranged DPS unit along with your other operators in the front line where you probably already have a healer available, she would fit right in. Next is her second talent, called the Declaration of the Dead. When her skill is not active, attack speed plus 27. Considering all of her skills are attack recovery, this talent not only increases her off-skill DPS, but also reduces the downtime of her skills. Right then, let's move on to her skills. Her first skill, called You Must Resist, extends her attack range and increases her attack by 100%. This skill is an attack recovery with a 10 SP cost and 5 initial SP. This skill lasts for 30 seconds. It's just some self-buff. It's not that interesting or useful. Assuming she has more than 80% HP, on skill she has 858 DPS, while off skill she already has 653. It's not a big damage boost. Also, 10 SP attack recovery. It takes 22 seconds to charge up the skill. This is assuming she always has a target to attack. It's just a skill you use when she's still E0. If you already promoted her, then use her other skills. Next, her second skill is called You Must Repent. On M3, Fiammetta fires a scorching bullet forward that leaves scorch marks along the projectile path and explodes upon reaching the end of her attack range, dealing 400% physical damage. Thereafter, the scorch marks explode in sequence, each dealing 200% physical damage. This skill is an attack recovery skill with 7 SP cost and 0 initial SP. Converting it to seconds, it takes around 15.4 seconds to charge it. The following are some technical detail of the skill. The endpoint of the scorching bullet is the midpoint of the farthest tile in front of her attack range. The scorching mark is placed down every 0.66 tiles with a total of 5 scorching marks placed down. The scorching bullet burst radius is 1.5 tiles and the scorching mark's blast radius is 1.1 tiles, making this skill able to hit all enemies in her range. The scorching marks explode 0.8 seconds after placement. The damage of this skill is really good actually. If the enemy is in the right position, they'll get a 400% plus 200% times 3 damage dealt to them. Assuming 0 death, 1000% of Fiammetta's attack when she's at peak condition is 14.4k physical damage. And most of the time, other enemies will get 600% attack from 3 of the scorching marks. Again, assuming 0 death, 600% of Fiammetta's attack is 8.6k physical damage. To put this into perspective, 14k physical damage is like clumping all 4 of W's as 3 bombs. Since it also have a really high attack scaling, this skill fares really well with buffers. On paper, this sounds really good, but in reality, it's just an okay skill. Although the charge up time is only 15.4 seconds, we have to keep in mind that this is an attack recovery skill. With how Arknights design maps, there will be a lot of downtimes on maps where Fia wouldn't be charging her skill and rendering her useless in the meantime. Overall, it's a good skill. Good and easy enough to use for general content, although yes, it has its downsides. A controllable burst of high damage is very versatile to clear most enemies in events and story mode, since being able to control when that damage is dealt makes it have a high usage potential. Great for someone who likes to have a lot of interaction when playing instead of the monotone playstyle of her S3. Speaking of her S3, her skill tree is called You Must Repay. At M3, she fixes the attack target to the farthest tile directly ahead and increases splash area. Attacks deal 125% of Fiammetta's attack as physical damage. Attacks against enemy in a small area around the target instead deal 220% damage. This skill costs 15 SP with 0 initial SP, and this skill has an infinite duration and can be manually deactivated. If we were to convert the charging time to seconds, it would be 33 seconds. That's assuming she always has a target to attack. The following are the technical details of this skill. This attack does not search for enemies. Even if there are no enemies in the target square, the attack will still be performed. The explosion range is expanded to a radius of 2 tiles, and the center of the explosion is a circle with a radius of 1.1 tile. The damage this skill outputs is really good. All enemies in the center of the explosion will receive 3.1k physical damage, and all enemies in the outside ring will receive 1.8k physical damage. If we were to compare it to the other consistent AoE DPS units like say maybe Dusk's S1, WS2 and I don't know, Blaze S2, assuming 0 def and 0 res, we could see that Fia's S3 is almost on par with Blaze's S2, and if we add in the def dimension, Fia's high hitting attack makes her have higher DPS than Blaze when the enemy has more than 200 def. Considering there is no target limit on this attack, the potential DPS ceiling of this skill is really high. But yes, we are only counting the raw DPS. We are discrediting what the other operators bring to the table. W has her stun and minefield, Dusk has her arts damage, and Blaze has her block. So yeah, we can't compare these skills directly. But still, the raw DPS Fia's S3 can dish out can't be ignored. But this skill is not without its drawbacks. Her attacks being fixed on one position makes it a tad bit harder in finding a great place for her. Although this is an issue, the explosion range of her S3 is big enough to make it not that hard to find a usable position for her. The other issue with this skill, which is a much bigger problem in my opinion, is her charge time. 33 seconds of attack time is kind of hard to provide. Even if it's just her attacking the incoming enemies, she'll most likely kill them and end the wave before she finishes charging her skill. And if there are no enemies, then she won't charge her skill at all. But, considering this is an infinite duration skill, it's on the lower requirement side of things when it comes to charging her. For example, Blaze takes 70 seconds to charge, and also Thorns have a similar total charging time as Blaze and is an attack recovery user. Then again, although Fia has a lower activation requirement, we have to keep in mind that Blaze can charge her skill automatically, and Thorns has his skill comes into effect earlier with the first activation and can help clear out early mobs. Also, both of them are melee units and can block enemies. Meanwhile, Fia can't block and will just let the enemies leak if she can't kill them and there's no one to block them. So yeah, this skill has its upsides and downsides. But once you get it running though, she'll clear most enemies that comes her way. Finally, the last part of her kit is her module. But first, let me preface. Getting a module is very costly. Let's just take an example of Fiammetta's module. The materials needed to unlock and upgrade her module to level 3 are the equivalent of 3,740 sanity, which is like 15.5 days worth of sanity. Alright then, once you know that, let's see her module. The name is Outside the Law Special Ammunition Distribution Group. On level 1, she gains 48 attack and 26 defense, and also an updated trait. Attacks deal AoE damage and ignores 100 def. It's a nice effect that increases her damage output slightly. Next, its first and second module upgrades. It increases more of her attack and def stat while also upgrading her second talent. On the level 3 module, her second talent becomes when skill is not active, attack speed plus 30, and when skill is active, attack speed plus 10. This basically increases her S3 DPS output by 10%, and not to mention, the extra 3 more attack speed slightly lowers the charge time of her skills. Here are her skill charge times when equipping her module and her updated skill 3 DPS. All in all, her module is a nice addition to her, and if you do have spare mats, it's worth getting. Lastly, let's talk about the synergies. Fiammetta alone is not that amazing to put it in a way, but there are some operators that significantly increase her performance. The first operator on our list is Sculptor. Sculptor's S2 provide constant healing while not losing healing potential. Unlike other healers who need to waste a heal to keep Fiammetta from draining her HP, she can constantly heal everyone in her range. On top of that healing, Sculptor can also give an attack and def buff to Fia, which increases her performance. Next, SP batteries, especially Archetto. Although yes, there are other SP batteries like Chen or Liscarm, but I'm especially mentioning Archetto because Archetto has the talent to give 1 SP every 2.5 seconds to all attack recovery sniper operators when deployed. This solves Fia's major drawback of her feeling slow to use. Her S2 can be procced way more often, increasing her total damage output, and her S3 could be charged way faster. To put it into perspective, Fiammetta, accounting for her talent, attacks every 2.2 seconds, while Archetto's talent gives 1 SP every 2.5 seconds. This almost makes Fiammetta charge twice as quick, and she can charge while not attacking. Her S2 charge time will take 8.8 seconds max to charge when Fiammetta is also attacking. An average of 8.6k to max of 14.4k physical AoE damage be procced that frequently is really good. Having Archetto deployed will definitely benefit Fiammetta by a lot. And lastly, the attack buffers. Fiammetta gains a considerable amount of damage potential from attack buffers like Warframe. If we see both of her skill, she has significant attack scaling with S2 maxing out at 1000% and S3 at 220%. So in conclusion, is Fia a good operator? Yes, she's a good operator. She's not great good, but she's good. Her worth increases greatly when you value AFK strategies or you have the aforementioned synergies. Should you pull for her then? Well, to answer to that, we need to take a look at one more factor. Here is the list of upcoming banners. If you don't know what these operators are worth, then let me just give a quick pointer. Passenger is a good chain caster. He has multi-target attack and a medium-sized burst skill, but overall, he is quite skippable. But the next operator on the list, Horn, is really good. She's a bit similar to Fia, being able to dish out AoE physical damage with significant range, but the difference is, Horn is a melee unit and has bonkers damage numbers. Her damage output is just Chalter or Surter -1. She's really good. One of the operators that you shouldn't skip. Then after that banner, there's the limited banner Spectre Alter and Irene. They're both good, and Spectre Alter is limited on top of that. So in just the next 3 banners after Fia, there are already 2 very valuable banners. Right then, should you pull for her? In my opinion, nah. I'd suggest you save for Horn or Spalter. You can live without Fia. But me, personally, I'm pulling for her. Well, I'll try to at least. I'll pull until I get a 6 star. Last up analysis vid, I said I wanted to make one for Lee, but I didn't deliver. I mean, at least I tried. I've made the script and recorded for it, but man, I was just so busy with uni to go through and edit the video. I'll try and be more consistent with this op analysis, maybe once every 2 weeks or every operator list. Maybe a like or a sub to motivate me? Maybe? I don't know. But yeah, if you have any suggestion on what I should do or what I can improve on, then feel free to let me know in the comments. That's it from me. Hope you enjoyed and see ya!